Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another, let's see if the stereo works, Wheelin Wednesday. As today, the wheels listen, much as when you have a dream about something and then Facebook sends you a targeted ad for it. The wheels listen because I had just mentioned that we had done a shock triangle featured in yesterday's episode, and Argentum still has not been tested on those. We'll see how they work. Daphne is a formidable monster on her new shocks, and these are Argentum's old shocks, which worked a treat on him in Zoku LCG form. So let's see how they do here on the Tranquish, because I was thinking we really need to get the Tranquish out there and wheel him around. So the wheels said, okay. So here we are. And Dry Bone Valley is a fantastic testing facility. Not by accident. You know, it used to have the wonderful shade of a pine tree, which would have been right here. But the bark beetles. So we're out here in the lack of shade. And honestly, where the morning sun is right now, would be right behind the tree. So I'm kind of catching it in the eye sockets. So Tranquish has had shocks replaced. I believe he has been wheeled around since his most recent motor swap. He was swapped to the Fusion SE 1800 because he was the sole Phoenix, and he is certainly Phoenix adjacent. And there are some advantages, certainly, I would say, to being Phoenix adjacent. One of those being that if you're running TRX4 axles, you can buy knuckle weights on Amazon for pennies compared to what you have to spend to put them on a Phoenix axle. So that's a plus. And he definitely lives his best life being just a mad combination of parts. Oh, she's going the other way. Hello, Judge. This is one of, let's see how she enters. This is one of her favorite sleepy spots if she goes where I think she's going. She's either going to drink out of the stream or she's going to hang out in the covered bridge because she thinks that I built that for her. Is she going water or ramp? Water or ramp? I don't know. Like, oh, here she goes. Right there. Just gonna curl up right there. Yep, that's the Gigi spot. Is that your spot, Judge? That's her spot. She feels, I mean, if you think about it, it's like she has her very own fort. She has a spot up there that is accessible effectively only from two sides. So she's got a good watch post up there, and she will sleep there for hours. And there have been times in the past where I'm going to film a video and she's just fast asleep right there. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not driving through there. She thinks that this entire place was built for her. So I had noticed in some of the more recent setup, back to talking about the Tranquish again, in some of the more recent setup, he's got some toe in the front, and I don't think his setup is really one that benefits from toe in, because when you have a toe in condition like what we're looking at here, we are turning to the right, our camera left, his right, and you can see that the outside tire has a lot more angle to it. I would want him just to be toe neutral. And I think what it was is I did a little bit of a geometry change in the front because his drag link was striking the tie rod at about half compression. So he wasn't getting full down travel in the front, and it was affecting it even on flex, not just straight compression. So when we moved that tie rod down, I think it effectively, that lower position on the knuckle, so I have it on the bottom of the knuckle than with a just a 7mm spacer inside the knuckle. I mean, I guess I could pick it up and show it closer to the camera. So I think it moved it down enough, like when I do the caster flip on elements and it moves, you know, we do the caster, and then instead of having the tie rod on the bottom of the knuckle arm, it goes to the top. You go to like a wide, is it toe in or toe out? It is a wide toe in. Yeah, so you have to shorten the link down about 4 or 5 millimeters. I don't think he's off 4 or 5 millimeters. He's off a little bit. And I notice it on the steer. But what I notice more than that is that he is way, way more stable now. Like that put down of that tire right there was far better. And we'll go here into this little chop. We'll try chopping it up here. Okay, that's a bumper in. Line it up a little better. Yeah, he's got a little bit of push to him now because I think the tie rod length is a little long. He's running one of the hot racing like adjustable tie rods, so it's absolutely no issue to adjust it. I just it is one of those things. I didn't even take it into account. Daphne's reverse will still get you. So we'll give him a shot at redemption and let him power down here out of frame. I think I had to go to he might be on a 17 or a 19 tooth pinion, because I was under the assumption, perhaps a foolhardy assumption, that all portal reductions are 2-to-1. But I do know that a VFD twin on TRX4 axles is really, really slow. Like really slow. Him wide open, I'm almost sure it's a 17. Him wide open on a 17 tooth pinion on the 1800 SE, he is proper slow, like really, really slow. And that's fine. Tranquish has all the weapons, and he is, above all other things, a rock crawler. So unlockable diffs and variable overdrive and all that stuff. Yeah, the stability right here is, try to get that front tire up high. Yeah. His stability on descent might be even better. Might be better than Daphne's, might be better than Argentum's. The Tranquish is turning into a guy. Like, he will be pretty formidable. I don't know if he's all the way there yet, but in Phoenix terms, if we're just looking at the Phoenicians of the fleet, he is up there. Argentum would be up at the top. I would put Tranquish right behind him, and then Blackjack, and then sadly, Eddie, what Eddie does not have that all of the other Phoenix do is portals. He is the straight axle, and I've got to do something. He is the least rewarding to drive. He's the flippiest. He's the tippiest. He is running those 90mm plus shocks that come on the straight axles. He might be a potential recipient for some 80mm shocks, and I keep giving all the 80mm shocks away. There are 80s on the Doodlebug. Who else just got 80s? The Colonel runs 80s on portals, so I don't, aside from the Doodlebug, listen to that servo. That 9i mod is not quiet. Aside from the Doodlebug, I don't think is there anybody else on straight axles running 80s? I don't think there is. I think the straight and the 90 is the spot. And I have perhaps an overcommitment to the VS 410 chassis there. Like, I would love to Zoku Eddie, and you know, to see the Zoku non-Phoenix adjacent, you know, without a Phoenix shell, because I don't know what Eddie needs. Is it just some shock lean? It presents a lot of questions in my head, and one of the things that my brain keeps coming back around to is that maybe that LCG would be even better on a straight axle, but I don't know, because I think the straight axle benefits even more from more shock position. Woo! That was a cut loose on there and handled it. Now, there we go. He is easy to catch. Now let's see. This was something right here. He might still not be able to do it, but this was still a section that the Tranquish had a real difficult time getting right here, because he would throw his head back with abandon right here, getting a little out wide onto the rock. I would like to be a little more left. Plenty of torque in the 1800 despite its spec sheet. It is definitely a motor in the Fusion. The Fusion SEs, they belie their spec card, which is like, oh yeah, there's a 40 amp in there. Like, stop. See, this is what he would do. That's partly on me. Can we get out? Yeah. It's got the nice longish wheelbase. I want it. It's a little fancy save, a little fancy footwork there. So see, there's still something. I don't think it's under damping. I think what it is, follow with me here, is I think it's the vertical shocks. I think it's the straight up and down vertical shocks. And I think he needs some doing. And I think Eddie is suffering from very much the same thing. So help me out here, folks. Here's a little crowdsourcing. You have seen the chassis that I quick cobbled for Hardline, the erstwhile visitor to the canyon that I'm building for someone else. If I were to copy that chassis and build another one, with your memories of Eddie the straight axle, should I build one of those chassis? Should I build that for Eddie, or should I build it for baseline? There's the QOTD, the question of the day. As no matter what, it's gonna be a pain right in the arse, because I would be doing that thing that I do very often, which is take a pre-drilled body and build a rig for it. And honestly, if the people of the comments section lean more towards Tranquish, as a lazy person, I would appreciate that, because I am not fitting Eddie with a new body. But I would not be opposed to buying another J Concepts Tucked. They're inexpensive. And then I could build the chassis out. I could basically like omit the bumpers, put a little stinger on him, basically hardline the Tranquish. And I think that would be immensely helpful for him and put him into, oh yeah, don't shuttle. Don't push right. There it is. Yeah, like I say, he's right there. And I think what it is I don't know if I can tune in the remainder of what I want. Are we gonna stay up here? Up across the top? Yeah, there we go. Let's try it. Let's try this little notch here. Oh, he is a descender. He goes head down real nice. Let's try this cut in here. Baja Claws continue to do well. Now, I'm a Southern Californian. I'm wearing shorts. I'm wearing a t-shirt. It is 45 degrees. So the Baja Claws are having a little bit of an issue. I would imagine the temperature on the rocks is probably actually a little bit colder, because I've noticed that, if you get big piles of concrete and stone, they can hold the cold and they can hold the heat. I most noticeably notice the hold of the heat over an Undertaker, which is, natural stone. And when I walk on them barefoot, because I'm a dirty hillbilly, it can be 9:30 at night and they're still warm. I can feel the warmth radiating up into my feet. Whereas by contrast, the ground just gets absolutely ice cold. It's like walking on ice out here. And I have inhuman feet. I can walk on pavement in the Southern California summer. Oh, the bros. The Goose Bros. One of the very few things I don't mind when they fly over. I like the bats. We have a lot of bats. I might have mentioned it in a video before. I need to build a bat house because bats eat bugs. Unfortunately, I went to, I think it's the Department of Forestry website, and looked up how to build a bat house. And they're actually kind of specific. Like, you need to build it in a very specific way. They give you all the measurements. It's nothing that's too complicated, but it has to be done in a very specific way. And then what you treat it with has to be fairly specific, because you don't want to mess with the bats. And then it gets to the sticky point where it needs to be on a post or a pole or some sort of mount, so nothing can just climb up there and eat them. You know what I'm saying? When they're asleep. And I don't want to feed bats to anything like, you know, like that thing over there. That thing would try to eat a bat. So it has to be on a pole, and it wants the height above the ground something like 20 feet. And I'm peering around me right now, because I would want it out here, obviously, out here in this area, so I can keep my mosquito population down. But where am I going to get a 20-foot pole? And how? It's actually got to be what? A 25, 26-foot pole? Because maybe it was 12 feet. No, I feel like it was 20 feet. They want that thing really high off the ground. Then, I mean, I would have to put it on the pole and then raise the pole. So, I mean, you know, you never know. We might see a video in the future of bringing bats to the canyon. I would love to bring the bats to the canyon, because I've asked myself many times, if you get out here at just the right time of night, if you're out here, well, an effort was made. If you get out here right around the witching hour, the bats are just swooping everywhere. So I'm always asking myself, where do they go? Like, bats in movies live in caves. Clearly, these bats don't live in caves. Do they just live in like people's attics, chimneys, stuff like that? I don't know where the bats live. So if I could lure the bats over to eat the bugs, that'd be great. We'd have a great time, us and the bats. Yeah, you can play the game here, the summertime game. Oh, there's so many of them in the summer. You can play the summertime game here where you take like little pebbles and you throw them up in the air, right there in that hour when the sun is just setting, and watch the bats swoop down and try to catch it. Now, I mean, I realize now, saying it, that's kind of like teasing a cat with a laser pointer, because they claim you can give cats anxiety by teasing them with a laser pointer because they can never catch it. And I just realized that throwing pebbles into the air for bats is kind of like teasing a cat with a laser pointer. Maybe we won't throw pebbles in the air for the bats anymore. So I'll have to find out. Maybe the Department of Forestry will give me some advice on what can I throw in the air that won't tease a bat. I like bats. I like birds. They were out here. The birds were out here. We've got the usual amount of twittering here. But they were right up above here. Spring has sprung. Oh, here they're coming back. Spring has sprung. We're starting to get the buds on the trees. Soon we'll have some nice leafy cover out here, which will be nice because I like shade. One of the pepper trees is dropping a big branch. Let's hope that doesn't fall off. I'm tired of cutting trees down, you know, and I'm too impatient to just plant little saplings because I will be old and or dead before they actually provide shade. And the big Palo Verde, this guy over here, he is as successful as he is because I didn't plant him. He just appeared there, and he was a little wee babby, and then I built a pond there, and I didn't do it right. I didn't consult the internet. I put a little bit of plastic tarp down, and then I put chicken wire down, and then I just formed it by hand with concrete, and like you'd make a very low quality bird bath. So, and then I did not wait the amount of time before I started running water through it. I might have waited 3 or 4 days to start running water through it. So water permeates down through it all the time, and the water permeating down through makes everything grow. So that Palo Verde is like 5 times the size it was, and we now have 6 or 7 Palo Verdes out here, which is fine. I don't mind the fact that they're spiky. I'm used to annoying trees that try to hurt me. Ooh, hello. And Palo Verdes are pretty, and what they are more than pretty is messy. They drop sticks, they drop flowers, they drop everything. But in the summer, we'll get some shots of it coming up here in the late spring, early summer. When they start to bloom, it's a beautiful tree. And these sessions are immensely helpful to me because I can see what's working and what isn't. And the quote unquote new, maybe not new, but new to him, suspension is honestly working a treat. He's got his tires with the Baja Claws. I'm pretty happy with the rims. I just think that he needs a level of tuning that I cannot achieve with the VS410 chassis. So is there a potential that we've got another set of VS410 rails going into the bins? Yeah, looks like it. I'm gonna have to start some sort of Canyon rail exchange program, like if anybody's got bent rails, because I know when you go out crawling in places that are real, people are doing things like rolling rigs down 60-foot embankments and bending their frame rails. I have bent one set of frame rails, which is I bent Rusty's rails by having his bumper just be a square bar of steel, and he landed on that bumper so many times he bent the rails, but they bent back. But I've seen some properly bent C-channels. I have never bent one like wrecking, but we have had a bent pair. And also, you know, taking things like chassis braces out. Oh, we don't need that. Those aren't there for a reason. And then the rails are a little bent. The Vanimals rails got bent a little bit, but if you've never touched one with your own claws, the C-channel material, the actual thickness of the material that the channel is punched out of is, oh, baby. It is wafer thin. So it is not a surprise that those rails were a little tweaked when he came apart to get LCG'd. So he's one of the few LCGs that, like, it needed to be done. Like, even if I was just copying the OE geometry, like what I do with my hardline chassis, which is, I mean, honestly, I guess in retrospect, it's kind of my version of the Rock Pirates Interceptor. It's adding shock positions to the stock geometry. I'm not kicking the skid. I'm not doing anything like that, because I want to reuse all the plastics. Like particularly on the Tranquish, I would just have to copy the existing geometry because I need the sides, because one side has got the OD servo on it and the other side has got two diff lock servos on it. Oh, they should both work now. Yeah, that'll tighten your turning circle up a little. Can we climb it all fully unlocked? we could do a point. Look at that wheel flying. All right, we're to a spot where we're pretty loose out, so let's lock the front. Yeah, he goes pretty. Look at that rear just stopped. Jink. Yeah, lockers are a thing that I have heard too many people on the internet say, oh, that's a gimmick. It is not a gimmick. It is a gimmick on the level that you would say dig is a gimmick. I could argue that I could make a convincing argument that adjustable overdrive is a bigger gimmick than unlockable differentials. Because unlockable differentials, you've got dig, which is a full lock of the rear wheels. Unlockable diffs is like halfway to dig. You can unlock one end, and then like right on that ascent right there, we had locked front and unlocked rear. Ooh, we'll go out this way. Hey, come on. He's a turtle. So for instance, let's try this hit again, and where he would get right here, and I don't know how much the rears are helping. Let's unlock the rear and just go. So this is half dig. Did I unlock the right one? Oh, I'm not getting unlock on either end. Or am I? I don't know what it is, but I think I've got a little bit of like the alignment. The horn is holding the linkage a little too high. Like I need to put a little spacer under the little block that holds the end of the cable because it's not getting smooth insertion of the cable. So it tends to just slack the cable instead of, you know, pushing it into the housing and unlocking the diff. It unlocks just fine. So this is unlocked, but I don't think we can put enough weight onto the front axle. Oh, because the front is unlocked too. So he got to there on fully unlocked. This is 3-wheel drive here. Yeah, I don't think they have enough, they don't have enough go. Yeah, but I can go to locked really easy because lock is the pull motion. Yeah, this is kind of the line that I want him to be able to tackle. And the only way I've been able to do it is to get out here on that little pizza slice. Got to get right up as far left as I can go and cut this little shot right here. And he'll do that cut, but I want to do the more tricky one over there on the side. So I still do invite a comment, but I mean, a big part of me is leaning more towards, well, because I'm driving the Tranquish. If I was driving Eddie right now, if the wheels had picked Eddie, I would be talking about how to refine Eddie's performance. But unfortunately, I think that with the straight axle, I think there's more work involved. So it's definitely not ruled out that Eddie will get, he's already Phoenix adjacent. He may indeed prove more Phoenix adjacent as time goes by. We might end up getting rid of some of the Phoenixy bits of him because, you know, performance-wise, I would like him to do more. And sadly, he is, as I mentioned, the least rewarding Phoenix to drive. Presumably because he doesn't have portals. Something about the setup. So he had to be geared way down. Eddie is running a 9-tooth pinion, and the Tranquish is running a 17 on the same gearbox because that's what portals will do. So before I go on any further, I do indeed thank you for watching. I invite you to comment below. Do we think that hardlining Eddie? Oh, look at this. Where's the sun right now? Do we think that hardlining the Tranquish is the way to go? I'm leaning towards it, but either convince me or dissuade me. Use the comments section for that. Please be sure to drop a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. If this is your first time to the canyon, welcome. We do this every week, and we do many other things. We roll over quite a lot. Oh, and in parting, I would be remiss if I did not say, underslung shocks, man. This is the way, because you move the whole body of the shock. You move all that weight down, which is not a lot of weight, but you move all that weight down to unsprung. So you're effectively unspringing the shock body itself because it doesn't have to support the weight of that. And the shock is now upside down. So provided that there's a good seal between the cap and the body, and the only one I've really had an issue with this is you gotta build like 2660s and DriveTechs. You gotta build them just right or they will leak on you. With element shocks and TRX4 shocks, it's super, super easy to build them, to run them upside down. And most of them will fit in the exact pre-existing position upside down. And I feel like could be placebo to a degree, but I feel like I can tell the difference. Like they feel smoother, they feel silkier. And we're talking, these are Element RTR shocks on here. This isn't anything fancy, but they feel real nice. And I'm talking through the outro again. Now subscribe if you haven't, considered channel membership, etc., etc. I thank you, loyal few, for joining us here. He gets one more try here at Daphne's line backwards. For joining us here for Wheelin Wednesday. The Tranquish is having a banner day. I'm having a good time. I think I got that rear tire a little too high. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. We do invite you to try your very best to to have a good one until we meet again. And this was success or failure. Success or failure. Start out. We've made it. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. Not 100% sure what it is. It's the middle of the week. What are you going to do? I'll see you next time, everybody.